Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder! Bring the thunder! Let's work. Bring the thunder! Let's go. Bring the thunder! Let's work. Bring the thunder! Let's work. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. On time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no flight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work.
Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course with me tonight is birthday boy himself, my super cubby as it is, Techy Joe.
Hello, hello. Yes, I'm here. I've survived another year.
Yes, you have.
Woohoo.
So how's your birthday been?
It's been good. It's been good.
You know, since yours is the first one of our household out of quarantine.
I know, right? Like,
Yeah.
I got to have a real birthday.
You have a real birthday.
So it's like, yay.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, thank you for the many happy birthdays. There have been many nice presents.
I think you can come off camera and go get your most favorite one.
No, I can't.
The one that, you know, is going to allow you to have wardrobe items that I presently said no to.
Do what now?
Hanging over there on the shelf to the left.
Hanging on the shelf.
Turn your head the other direction. By the door.
Okay.
It's hanging up there. It enables you to get those Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was froze for a second. I thought you were going to ask me to get one of the other ones.
No. He's had a really good birthday. That started Tuesday. You know, as you age, you get longer times. You know, next year I get to take a whole month for my birthday. How are you? I'm going to say some hellos. Hello, Miss Brenda. Hello, Facebook user. Hopefully you're one of my baristas. And we're back with Farmer Joe.
Hey, I'm not Farmer Joe.
Okay.
I just own a small dinosaur park.
Ooh.
Cloning went well.
Tell me about it.
It really is cosmetic. But yes.
I could use 3 of you. I think all our clients would agree to have 3 of you.
Three? I'm sorry, what, 3?
3.
When did we... Whoa, where did that come from? Oh, no, we're not cloning me. We're not doing multiplicity.
Yes.
No.
Then I could have the perfect housewife, Joe. I could have the bedroom Joe, and everyone else can have the Techy Joe.
No. The rest of us who have seen the movie know how this turns out.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like making a copy of a copy of a copy. It gets worse.
Uh-huh.
Like, we would end up with Caveman Joe.
Right. And Facebook user, to answer your question, yes, if you want your name to appear up in the break room, you do have to allow StreamYard. Otherwise, you have to give StreamYard permission. Otherwise, you can stay Facebook user, because that's part of the fun of being a barista, is you can put on a mask.
You can. Oh, hey, Ashley.
Yes.
Cool. So, yeah, Party Hat is here.
Yes, Party
Sorry,
Hat.
I didn't see that part, or I would have gotten it faster. What? You were threatening to list off my other presents.
No.
Short version, someone did their birthday shopping at the
Yes,
adult
it is
bookstore.
Short version, someone started their birthday shopping a while ago. You know, you got a nice...
Granted, it was not supposed to be an adult bookstore trip.
No, it was supposed to be an Amazon trip, but my freaking bank doesn't like Amazon.
No, they really don't like you using Amazon.
No. So,
which is weird. I've never had a problem. Like, they're fine with me doing Amazon.
mm-hmm. So you've got boyfriend birthday presents. You've got a nice leather bracelet that's Doctor Who themed.
I do.
You have a lovely leather journal.
I do.
Yeah. And you got Ruby Tuesdays.
I did. And cheesecake.
Yes.
We stopped by Kroger on the way home.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, cake and ice cream or the great big giant like cake with all the frosting and stuff never really did much for me.
See, I always enjoy a nice Boston cream or a themed birthday cake.
Mm-hmm. Aw, I could have been born on National Cheesecake Day. That would be appropriate. What? It would be.
That's fine. You can go ahead and tell them your birthday story.
Which one?
The one your mother told all the children.
Oh, yeah. Well, now this messed me up in a few places. Yeah. So, Mom kind of lucked up, and all of us kids were born near holidays. And so she took advantage of that because 3 of us were born near July 4th. So that was our birthday party. One of us was born near Halloween. So Halloween was just for them. Everyone dressed up for them. All the neighbors gave out candy just for them. And then one unfortunate sibling was born closer to Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving was all for them. That's the whole reason we did it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Strange thing is the one during, correct me if I'm wrong, with the one during Thanksgiving had the metabolism of a horse.
Do what now?
Isn't the Pete the one before Thanksgiving?
No.
Oh.
No. That would have been scary. Like, that would have, I guess, made more sense.
Right.
Yeah. Fair. Pretty sure Mom probably, considered it the boarding of a Clydesdale. I mean, I'm sorry, for my brother to, like, okay, keep in mind, you would think looking at me that as I say this, you're now picturing a bigger version of me. No. My brother through his entire life was probably like this big around. He just got taller. That's all he ever did was he got tall.
Mm-hmm.
Fruit and could eat you out of house and home.
Easily.
Like, he's the scary skinny guy at the all-you-can-eat buffet. Because, like, everyone thinks it's the big people that kill the buffet. No, it's always some skinny little dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in high school, this was a friend of mine, and we used to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest of us got our 3 little plates of food from the buffet, and there he went on, like, plate 15.
Mm-hmm.
With no signs of slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got thrown out of a buffet because of him.
Was it because he was mixing food on the buffet?
No, because the restaurant owner actually came over and said, "You have eaten all you can eat. Get out." We were literally told, "You have eaten all you can eat. Get out." It was a sad moment. It was a sad moment.
Hey, Mika. Welcome to the party.
Hi, Mika. Yeah.
So which case do you want to take? The weird one or the rest of them?
The weird one, I guess.
All
Like,
right.
a few of them qualify for those terms.
Oh no, this is one to get our little area on the news media. 2 men arrested after man being held in dog kennel in Beckley.
Yeah. This is a hard story to read because, it's a little confusing. These were 2 men from Michigan. They're both from Detroit. But apparently we're in Beckley at a house on Foster Avenue. A witness figured out what was going on. They threatened the witness to not call police. But yeah, so she did. Yay. Thank you, witness. But the victim suffered multiple injuries, including a broken arm, and reported being beaten with a shovel while in captivity as the suspects repeatedly demanded money. Meanwhile, they took video of the beating of the victim, in which involved their faces. So pretty open and shut on that one. I
saw the headline and went, how strong are these dog kennels?
You know, I'm still confused. In like wondering whether this was an elder abuse situation as well.
I don't know. No, 28.
Well, that's the victims, or the suspects are apparently. I mean, I'm going. If the one is 28, I would say the other is within 10 years of that. Like 38 max.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm just curious if there was an elder victim in this case, what the deal was.
I'm just wondering what size kennel these dudes had, and how do they haul it all the way from Michigan? Because we barely got, because we have a crate for, Gizmo. He has to be crated. He's an Australian Shepherd. It's part of their thing. They have to have a den.
They like their den.
And if you don't give them a den, they'll make a den.
Oh. Something tells me I don't think the witness to this one's going to get protection on that.
And actually brings up a good point. Charleston and Beck did a lot of Detroit implant centers actually reversed. A lot of people went from West Virginia to Detroit when the mines went down, but the automotive went up. There's a lovely story about the the migrant migrations that occurred over the 1900s, both north and south out of the mountains. But it's one of those things. He had a broken arm. I get that. He's been beaten with a shovel, according to the report. And I'm like, how much money do you think this guy had? It takes a lot of work to keep up a pooch, much less a human pooch.
Well, and I don't want to make light of this because, I mean, it's a very serious thing. I mean, the story is absolutely bonkers.
Right.
But I do, it sounds like a lot of human suffering attached to this one, too.
Yes.
But it is very confusing. Yeah, I'm looking to see if we have any more on this one because I figure this is going to be a story no one's going to let drop. Because I would expect a little bit more. Okay, and yeah, so that's basically the same story. And we do have a lot of that in the area.
Another one has been arrested.
3
3 men.
Oh, wow. Well, it's believed to be drug-related. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Large dog kennel when they search the home.
Right. So
Just
that
makes me wonder what kind of dog kennel we're talking about here. Because I don't, well, I mean, I can't guarantee that. But I wouldn't think something like what we have, because we do technically have a collapsible dog kennel.
yeah, that's a large dog kennel.
Well, but like I'm thinking, are we talking about different kinds of dog kennels here? Because like ours, I would think you would have to do a lot of oversight of a human to
Right.
keep them from being able to potentially get out of that.
Right.
I'm not saying that they should have easily been able to get out of this. I'm just saying I would think if you left them alone for, you know, a decent length of time, they most people probably could.
Possibly. But, you know, he's got a broken arm. He's been beaten with a shovel.
Yeah. So if that's where all this started.
Hi, Devin. How are you? How are you been? Nice to see you back. Grab the coffee. It's on the left. Sit on down. Let's join the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But no,
yeah.
This is one of those that's like, it needs to have some more reporting. You know, she needs to get on that one. Because, of course, it's done by one of our famous reporters.
Well, because, yeah. I'm just looking online. There's a lot of different types. Everything from the cute little, like, oh, it's, you know, an end table, to way more substantial things.
Right.
So, yeah, depending upon, and, you know, what we're talking about, like, all the way on up to, like, it's a wood shelter. Like, there's a large range, and I thought there's a large range there.
Right.
And some of these are really, like, heavy duty.
Right.
Like, yeah, even for, like, the size dogs they're meant for. Like, I'm sitting here going, I'm seeing, like, large chunks of steel and a little tiny puppy. Like, oh, it's so cute. Well, puppy and these large steel, like, slats. Like, that's a lot. So, yes. Yes, I did have a good day.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our next topic of the SOS being sent out from Charleston.
Yeah, that's another fun one. So yeah, so we've talked about this, I believe, somewhat.
Right.
In the past, we have a situation in West Virginia in which, effectively, what's happened is, a little over a year ago now, almost probably a year and a half, give or take. We started down a path toward changing how needle exchange in West Virginia works. This kind of all grew out of Charleston and Kanawha County itself, and a lot of resident upset with the what had been termed a junkie mart being set up, also known as the needle exchange program. And the effect, or the fears of the effect on the community. Effectively, what happened is by local ordinances, they shut down the Kanawha County program, leaving West Virginia Health Right being the only operator of a needle exchange.
Right.
And there's a lot of concerns around the Health Right approach. They've pushed really hard into territory that has made that basically flies in the face of CDC guidelines for needle exchange programs. for creating an actually effective, safe, helpful, utilized program. So what was effectively said when they did this was a prediction that there will be an explosive growth of HIV cases as a result. Took a year. All of a sudden, we're now in an epidemic level increase of new HIV, needle share related HIV cases.
Right.
In Kanawha County.
Right. Which even is a more expansive one because it's not just the needle exchange. It's not just the needle users. This spreads out like a web. It affects not only the person shooting up the drugs, it can affect a person not even connected to them. Because, hate to tell you, it's like playing Kevin Bacon. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with HIV.
Well, it's not only that. It's that if you're focused solely on people using drugs and thinking the idea that you can look at someone and tell that they have ever used an IV drug ever. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Moreover, then you start getting into community spread, which is, when people who are using IV drugs may be someone's boyfriend, girlfriend, or someone they pay to have sex with. And then on down the line, you run into a situation where you can quickly see this pick up through a community, especially when the group immediately at risk has very little to do directly with another group, such as married men, for instance, that are having sex with men on the side, unawares of happily married women who, in West Virginia, neither of those people will probably get an HIV test for a very, very long time. Or any other STD or STI testing until they report symptoms or ask for one.
Right. Or they get it because they're having neck surgery or because they're having this surgery or that surgery. And it's standard common practice.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's ironic that when you go for surgery, they make the immediate assumption that everyone could be. When you go to your doctor for your routine medical exam, for your normal trip to the doctor, whatever it may be, no one makes that assumption.
Right.
Unless, and literally, it's just getting the point that they're starting to ask, especially vulnerable populations. Like they're just starting to ask.
Right.
Like they're just getting comfortable enough.
So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very dang direct about it. This is a speech I tend to have to give younger 20-year-olds in the bear community, but I'm going to give it to all of y'all too. If you're fucking, you need to be tested.
Yep.
Don't care. Same partner 30 years, don't care. And you just don't want to be testing for HIV. You want to have a full STI panel. Because there's some STIs, i.e. living herpes, you can get from using a public restroom.
Well, and also there's the issues, and this isn't a new problem, side note, for anyone, sitting out there. A lot of cookie baking grandmas started popping up with syphilis and related dementia from untreated syphilis, because a lot of our war-fighting grandpas might have done some things overseas that they didn't talk about when they got home.
Right.
So just assuming that you're, married and your partner, as far as you know, has been faithful. Yeah, there's some cookie baking grandmas left in the world that can tell you that's not how that works.
Right. And see, that's what people don't get is your 58, your 70-year-olds. They're the ones growing the largest cases, well, excluding Charleston, the largest cases of STIs, because they're more or less likely after menopause to stop using protection.
Yeah. Well, and we also have a problem with elder populations.
Yeah.
Because, hi, welcome to the world that Pfizer created. We have, a large dating population, oftentimes divorced and or widowed, well into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, who are still not only love life active, but sexually active.
Yes.
Generationally, they run into some issues there.
Yep.
As in the messaging that they got, which is primarily what they're still relying on, was very, 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 very different.
Right.
In which a lot of women, especially, are very vulnerable in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
Because effectively they were given little to no information other than to please their man.
Which is bullshit.
And that was it. Like there was no discussion.
Uh-huh.
So little that it's not really effective.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, that's starting to change. The boomer population technically would be the beginning of that change.
Mm-hmm.
Where the messaging started to shift a little.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's still a lot of people out there.
Yeah. And a lot of generational carry on from that.
Mm-hmm. And when you couple with the inability to get pregnant due to age and menopause, you can sometimes run into issues there.
Yeah.
As well as a lot of forgetfulness to some degree of families to even consider that or broach that conversation.
Right.
That, hey, Dad, you're being sexually active in your 60s and 70s.
90s.
Yeah, or, 60s, 70s, and beyond. Some things have changed. We don't just have to worry about it burning when you pee. There's some other things that you might want to be, concerned about.
And see, this is where someone in the comments here brings it up. The stigma around STIs. No, we need to get over it. It needs to be part of, like, you go to the doctor every year, they run the same blood work, test your cholesterol, give you a happy little HIV test, and turn around and figure out exactly where your blood levels are for other things, like it's normal every day.
Right.
But the more important part is we've got a problem in Charleston. We've got trouble brewing in Charleston.
Well, because we're coupling this atmosphere that doesn't really test to begin with.
Right.
With an explosion in what's considered a negatively viewed portion of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Coupled with the idea that you can spot a drug addict or a zombie, as the news, or not the news, but people quoted in the news are frequently fond of saying, that you can spot everyone who's ever done drugs because of this. No, you can't.
Right.
They sit next to you at church. They ride the bus with you. They are sitting 2 cubicles down from you at work. They are your friends. They are your spouses. There's a lot of people that have at least tried a lot of drugs, including IV drugs. There are also a lot of people that will be completely functional while having a drug problem for a significant amount of time, even IV drug users.
Right.
And then there's all the people connected to them,
right,
in any number of ways. So just thinking you can look at someone and tell whether or not they have a drug problem is ridiculous on its face. Just as ridiculous as it is to assume you can look at someone and tell if they're HIV positive or not. Like, hate to tell you, you're really not going to know until HIV becomes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome and all of the signs and symptoms start to physically appear, which include things like Kaposi sarcoma, muscle wasting, on down that lovely list of visual cues that someone is not just HIV positive, but has AIDS. You're not going to immediately see that, and that can take upwards of a decade.
I would say even upwards to 20 years.
Potentially.
Yeah. And that's the slow acting strand.
Right.
You know, because we're learning, well, the public's learning that there's multiple strands of COVID. There's also multiple strands of other diseases.
Yeah.
And mutations of other diseases.
There always have been.
Right.
And that was one of the things that it took a while to figure out, I know, on the HIV AIDS front, was that because there were some people that died very quickly. They became HIV positive and ended up at terminal very quickly. Within just a matter of a couple or a very few years. And then there were people that were very, very healthy for a very long time and thankfully were able to get medication. Once medication was developed, that could fight the disease and halt its progression. And, still took a while, but they were able to maintain health for longer.
Right.
Hold on and hang in there.
Exactly. And this is even getting the attention of the CDC. They are now working directly with CAMC to figure out exactly how they can support the Charleston area. And, they're calling it flat blank, a problem our political officials have created.
It is. We have, and on top of all this was a Senate bill, if I remember correctly, in the West Virginia Senate, looking to create new restrictions for all of West Virginia and its needle exchange programs.
Right.
So these two events are colliding against each other. Because there are many wonderful CDC guideline. They wrote the handbook on this. Needle exchange programs operating in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Huntington Cabell runs a great one. Mongalia Health runs a great one. There are many others. But what this legislation originally sought to do was completely, totally, and utterly gut those programs. The revisions to it are not as great as one would have hoped.
Right.
So it would fundamentally, very drastically change how those programs operate. Potentially to the point in which they are no longer able to get any kind of funding because they're not operating under CDC guideline. And would effectively limit the usefulness of them. And that is the thing that Health Right has taken hits on for years based on their data, is underutilization of the programs that they offer.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of problems with Health Right in general. They are very much an issue in this state. And then you have the other part of that Senate bill was to stop the pop-ups. There's a lot of activist groups, a lot of substance abuse support organizations that were running pop-ups when Charleston became a problem.
Right. And that basically West Virginia is going to require a license to run a needle exchange program. Like you cannot do any form of needle exchange activity without a license. That license is going to, and I think they may have reworded it a little, but effectively it's the original intent was to make it at the whim of county commissioners and the sheriffs, the sheriff of that county. If any member of county commissioners or the sheriff deemed the program to be a problem, they could shut it down.
Right.
For any reason. Additionally, these programs were going to have to bear 100% of liability for any needles that were related to an accidental stick, i.e. someone finds a needle on a playground, accidentally sticks themselves. This program was going to be forced to handle all costs for that, as well as penalties for it. It just went on and on and on, and it effectively was like, we're going to railroad you out of town. We will find a way.
Right. And see, that's the problem with this. We have a drug situation. Now, we can treat them like the lost children they are and support them, give them opportunities for counseling, give them resources while they're there, run a food pantry while they're there. Fix them.
And this isn't about encouraging drug use, and that's the thing that always gets me. Everyone wants to keep saying this is encouraging drug use. It's free drugs, quote unquote. No, it's not free drugs. It is a safe place to use them in many programs. Safe use sites are often a part of the program, as in someone who is already procured can go into a room, use drugs, and do so with the knowledge that should anything happen, like we have seen with multiple fentanyl cases of drugs laced, there are emergency responders there on site who can help.
Right.
So it gets immediate intervention for any form of overdose.
Right. And Marty, if you want a reading on, I work off a question specifically and need your birthday.
Yep.
But no, this is like West Virginia. You have two choices here. Copy what has been already working. Copy what has worked in Seattle. Copy what has been working everywhere else. Or start digging graves.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah, these are the programs that work in New York, Chicago, DC. Like, this is like what Monongalia Health has done, what Cabell Huntington has done, is basically a prepackaged concept with proven effectiveness, with proven results. And it took a little while to get there. They tried some things. Not all of this is clearly intuitive. But it is very impactful on communities in changing the situation, and especially for preventing community spread of communicable disease.
Right.
As well as providing much better life outcomes for people who currently have a substance abuse disorder. I don't get how it's that hard to find. The numbers are there.
Right.
Like, it's not like follow the bouncy ball. We've been doing this.
Right. And, I have always said, thank you, Marty, I'll get that just in a second. I've always said, and will continue to say, that an addiction is connected to an emotional or physical ailment. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like what we've mostly seen is drug use in and of itself has predominantly environmental contribution. Addiction doesn't occur on its own. Like a lot of what we've been told about how addiction works is fundamentally wrong.
Right.
Not that it never works that way, not that that's not part of it. But it's not all just pleasure, reward, short-circuiting.
Yep.
A lot of it is life-based.
Right.
That when you look at people with addiction problems, you start finding all kinds of contributing elements, including, unreported and undealt with sexual assault, trauma, violence, especially family violence, child abuse. Start naming it.
Right.
This is where a lot of this is born. In that this is a very unhealthy but coping mechanism for pain, not physical,
Right.
but emotional pain.
Exactly. But, if this is the world that we live in today, and we need to get real with it, it's like I never thought I'd carry Narcan in my purse. I carry Narcan in both my purses.
I didn't think that would be how we would spend our anniversary, getting Narcan training, but there we were.
Exactly. It was the best thing. They say
it was great.
The couple together.
Yeah, it was a great thing. It was one way in the middle of a pandemic to do something together.
Hey, it's better than we spent our anniversary beforehand.
Oh, Lord. What do we do?
Prepped you for surgery.
Fair. Forgot about that one. Why do I keep forgetting about that one?
I don't know. Maybe you were a little loopy the next day. All right, we got a question on the board. Let's take the question.
All right, so Marty, March 30th of 84. Will my business do well for me?
Yeah, but you got to get into the nitty-gritty details of it, Marty. I mean, the money's coming. You got to, and right now you're just trying to get balance. You'll get a preventable balance of comfort, but you got to get in there and get into details. You got to look at where your money is going, what it's doing, how the business needs to grow. Set some really hard goals there and kick your butt on them. Okay.
Okay, so few comments have come in while we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently, Coshocton County in Ohio, I hope I said that right. Devin, you'll have to let me know. She's pointing out that has weekly overdoses, if not daily. I know Cabell especially has multiple daily overdoses, and has been the center of most of the mass overdoses that we've had in the state.
Mm-hmm.
In which they were getting a call, I think, like every 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you averaged it out, they were getting a call every 30 minutes.
Right.
It was an insane day in the last fentanyl issue. And that's on top of their normal number of overdoses in and of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot to take in. But Devin worries about Coshocton getting HIV cases. Oh, and I did say it right. Cool. Getting HIV cases. That's where you have to really look at how your local health departments are handling the situation. If there are local needle exchanges, if they're doing a lot of preventative health and, so to speak, meet them where they are, kind of health clinics attached to things like needle exchanges, safe use spaces, etc.
Right. And then I'm going to be a little pushy. Then see if you've got some free time once you get done being busy. See what they need some help with. Because a lot of these stuff is volunteer-based, volunteer programs, volunteer trainings. All right.
Oh, yeah. And apparently Alexandria is trained, has their naloxone, and thought they were going to have to use it this week.
Yeah.
That's a scary moment.
Yeah. But it's one, apparently, a clergyman and his assistant is willing to take when police won't.
Yeah, that's a bigger problem. And, well, now that's currently a bigger issue as we know it in Kanawha County. Because that's ultimately where all this started. is that the Kanawha County Sheriff's Department, their sheriff basically went a little nuts on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That effectively, he doesn't want anything to do with people who have a substance use disorder, and effectively takes the approach of you chose to use, you chose to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are with that.
Well, it needs to be replaced and recalled and charged.
Yeah.
I think we need to start charging these policemen with the crimes they're committing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then Ashley has a question. Oh, no, sorry. Devin has one first.
Okay, we'll take Devin first.
Okay, Devin 316 to me. Will I find a job closer to home?
Take a look here. Yes, I actually think you do. It looks to be about 6 weeks. This will also give you something that's a better life balance.
Awesome.
Okay. And Marty, I see your business idea. I think it's great, but I also think that you should include in there RV services. Start seeing what you can do with an RV and helping RVers, because that's a very good one there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, Devin points out we don't have needle exchanges.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be right there. What are your surrounding counties doing? Because sometimes we see that with, like, weird counties that, like, they're inexpensive to live in, but they also don't have a lot of community support services in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of ends up shifting to the nearest, like, major metro.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look at that too. I don't know if that helps any. Like, if you're outside of Cleveland, if you're outside of Columbus, if you're outside of whatever, that may be where your bigger like source would be for, like, needle exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. But all right. And then we have Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
8/26/96. Am I more worried this month about finances than I need to be?
Look here, Ashley.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. I'm having one of those things are jumping on me, and I'm reading them wrong.
You really are. You're paying attention to too much of your down talk. You need to start up talking yourself again, young lady.
Thought you were talking to me for a second. I was like, what the heck did I do?
Not yet.
Alrighty.
All right, let's move on to Alexa.
So Alexandria, 53185. I was non-renewed from teaching a few weeks ago. Will they recall me? I would have to talk to my friend Donna, who's a drug counselor. Oh, never mind. All right.
Yes, they do, but they're going to recall you to a different school, which will be good for you.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. All right, I think we're caught up. Let's move on to another cool story. Yes, now children that go to school every day do not have to worry about if they'll be able to use the bathroom or not, thanks to the Supreme Court.
Yes, did that not take forever?
It took 3 years and two wasted sessions in our lovely state government.
Mm-hmm.
Useless fools.
Yeah. Yeah, so it took more than 3 years.
Okay.
Grimm filed suit against the board in 2015, arguing that the school's policy violated Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause. So back under Obama, the Justice Department filed a statement of interest. Then we had Trump come in. That got, repealed. Or actually, they backed off the Obama-era guidance. This ended up in court. Citing the Supreme Court's landmark decision in 2020 that held that federal employment law protects LGBTQ workers, they ruled in favor of Grimm in his lawsuit.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Well, no, and this was Virginia. Sorry, not West Virginia.
Yeah, this was Virginia that got the fight, but it was
Yeah.
our, house.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we ended up doing some stupid crap related.
Mhm.
So yeah. But good news for him. It was great that it came out in Pride Month. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think Roberts is just tired of it. I really think Justice Roberts is like, are you people serious?
I think at higher level legal,
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of having to really work through the idea of what on the basis of sex means in terms of discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
especially surrounding Title IX.
Right.
I think they have a little easier time being discriminatory outside of Title IX. And like where that's at and what it's intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like marriage equality, they had a little easier time trying to argue that one. Like the cake shop case, all of those were a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start moving into the school system, yeah, it's a little harder. Because that I don't think gives them as much leeway, because they're like oddly narrowly written, because it was meant to not be wiggled out of.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of it changes.
Right. But what I'm saying is I think Roberts is at the point of literally, like, what do we got to do for you people to get that humans are humans, treat them like humans, and stop acting like idiots out there?
Fair. Well, I was meaning the Supreme Court as a whole had more wiggle room.
But no, he's been very vocal about this in circles, about how he is sick of these cases, because he always has to be the one writing the decision or telling the decision that, no, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We've already spoke on Title IX so many times. We have books just for Title IX in law school.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm also meaning, that it's become so narrow at this point. Like everyone's tried something stupid,
right,
against Title IX.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of like there's just not that much left.
No,
like what else do you want? Like stop being dicks.
Yeah.
Just stop being dicks. It's real easy. Don't be a dick.
Right.
Move along.
Move along. And I'm sure everyone has heard about Bill Cosby being released after 2 years because of a stupid way to I'm really tired of prosecutors not wanting to take cases that they cannot win or they think they cannot win.
Well, no, I don't think that was exactly the situation.
Well, here's the situation. Pittsburgh got a new prosecutor. The old prosecutor issued a press statement saying, we're not pursuing charges right now. So Bill Cosby gave definition and confessed to the crimes.
Yeah, he did depositions.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he didn't confess exactly, but he, all but.
Yeah.
So, he was speaking with immunity, so he wasn't really, being careful about what he said.
Right, but he wasn't given immunity. Problem is the new prosecutor came in and went, okay, this guy's just worried about Bill Cosby's name. I don't care about his name. He done a crime. He needs to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And prosecuted the case. And they finally got a victory for these victims.
Mm-hmm.
And his lawyer found the press release, so he was able to challenge it in court that was guaranteed immunity. So they couldn't retry. But
couldn't
proceed. He's old.
Do I know?
He is old.
Yeah.
So hopefully Demon will get him soon.
Well, yeah. Well, see, I struggled with this one because I was like, what kind of idiot signed off on this? Like, what kind of thing was going on for him to sign off on this? The former prosecutor was basically in a situation, I think they didn't feel they had enough evidence at the time to pursue charges against Cosby. But the victim was also going after him civilly.
Mm-hmm.
The deal was made so he would give the deposition for a civil case, in which, you know, at least the victim had hope of getting something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so no, he was not as guarded because he thought he was not going to be charged criminally.
Mm-hmm.
And had that understanding. What they effectively did was turned around and used the civil deposition, that he was supposedly given criminal immunity for participating in,
Mm-hmm.
use that as evidence against him for the criminal case,
Right.
which ultimately, yeah, that's what got his conviction brought back to the spotlight, is that the case shouldn't have gone forward, because they should technically have honored the prior prosecutor's agreements.
Well, technically, what they should have done is took it to federal court and charged him with 54 counts of sexual assault.
Well, and I'm not saying there are not other cases and other issues and other things that should be done there.
Right.
But this all technically concerned one victim.
Right.
5 others, I believe, did testify during the trial.
Mm-hmm.
And there was discussion over whether or not that was prejudicial.
Right.
There was some back and forth on that in the appeal.
Right.
As to, no, it showed pattern of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So no, at that point, no.
Right.
But that plus the deposition testimony in the civil case
Mm-hmm.
created a problem.
Right. Oh, Devin, what are you doing? Reading my research for next week, but we'll go ahead and talk about it.
Okay.
Britney Spears' conservatorship is currently in jeopardy because the court did hear from Spears. The current Bessemer Trust has withdrawn because they were under the understanding that this was a willful conservatorship. According to her testimony, it isn't. They're going, no deal here. We don't want a part of this. The father is challenging, but does not want to be the personal conservator to the appointed personal conservator. And now they have to find a new conservator of the estate, which makes sense. $60 million. No, the judge did not keep. Brittany's father is the conservator of the estate, not the conservator of the person. The conservator of the estate and conservator of the person are two different things. The conservator of the estate protects the assets and makes sure that Brittany gets paid and makes sure that Brittany's money is going to where it needs to. Gives them the power to do that and to decide where finances are. The conservator of the person makes decisions about medical care and dinner and the color of her kitchen cabinets and anything personal related.
Yeah. And I'm starting to wonder, and perhaps the easier way to put all this is more what what I'm used to in West Virginia. And I know it's not the same thing, but you can appoint a fiduciary, which handles your finances, F for finances, fiduciary finances, and someone for medical. So you can have a fiduciary power of attorney and a medical power of attorney. They do not have to be the same people.
Right.
In a lot of instances, they are, but they don't have to be. You can do a lot of things with that. And effectively, a fiduciary is literally only managing your assets. However, that can have a large influence on you, the person. while they're not making your medical decisions, they can do a lot with, like, whether your bills get paid, approving, any kind of move, the lifestyle to which you wish to live.
Right. At the same time, they're responsible for the bills being paid. They're responsible for collecting on contracts, signing contracts, ensuring that that everything is done in the best light of the court, financially. And the plan was that her father would, because think about it, it would be like, Joe trying to take over Aeson Knight Incorporated. He needs to come in and learn everything before they can do it. So Bessemer was supposed to come in, work with the dad, and then the dad could go away. Well, Bessemer's saying, nope, don't want it. Dad's going, oh, we have that temporary, because he stepped down as the personal conservator 2 years ago. Someone else was appointed to that position. Montgomery's the last name.
Yeah. I think this is either Brittany's sister or stepsister.
This is a third party altogether.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's hard to keep track of.
Right.
And that was the law firm. They're the lawyer.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of questions around him because him and Jamie were working really in concert. And there were already some concerns that maybe not in Brittany's best interest.
There's a lot of concerns being voiced that I don't think Jamie Spears was aware of with the personal conservatorship. Because the personal conservator doesn't have to talk to the estate conservator other than where's my check, where's her allowance for this week.
Yeah.
All that has to occur, that's all that occurs right there. Because Jamie Spears is not in Las Vegas. Right now, Brittany isn't either. She's in Hawaii on vacation. But Jamie Spears is in LA running, I think it's named after one of her companies is in LA. Do It Again, Baby, or something other. He runs all that for Brittany. But the important part we learned during the leaked transcriptions is this is a voluntary conservatorship. Brittany was not told that she could petition the court to end the conservatorship. There is a large question now in an evidentiary hearing being requested by Jamie Spears and Brittany's mother's lawyer over why Brittany is even not being told this is what you've got to do to end this conservatorship, when that has now been made very clear to all the lawyers that that's what she wants done. But it's not like this instant thing where she can just snap and, she has in charge of all her companies, all her branding, and her person. That would be too much for the normal person to do. We see what happens with that every time someone wins the lottery.
Right. Well, and then the other part of this is the way the conservatorship was set up. Technically, even if she had been told how to do it, she didn't have the ability to do it.
Debatable at the current point, and here's why.
I know, but there, even up to and including, she would not have been able to pay for an attorney to do it.
Because she already has an attorney.
Right, but that attorney was effectively double rolling.
No, they're not sure on that yet.
Okay.
It's just they're unsure on that. These are allegations being made. She said she wasn't aware that she could petition the court. That's all we know for the moment. Now, here are some facts to understand. Large stars like Britney Spears, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson was under a conservatorship. This is very common to have an estate conservatorship. Very common. And she may maintain that, and she may maintain it with Bessemer Trust, which is who managed Michael Jackson's affairs and who bought like the Beatles music and who bought all this stuff for him. Because it's a very large operation. And if you're wanting to live your life and produce your music, It's easy to go buy somebody and have them do it for you.
Well, and also make sure that if she decides to quit working tomorrow, that, you know, she has significant assets.
Right.
And these assets are, at right now, more than enough to carry her very comfortably through the rest of her life.
Right.
Like, never have to, you know, do another single, never have to get on stage, never have to sign another autograph, nothing.
Right.
Go play in the garden, you know, become a straw hat wearing lady of the South. Whatever you want to do.
Right.
Like, you know, you could live a nice leisurely life.
Right.
Good job. Way to go, Brittany. Right. But so it's kind of like the ultimate in financial planning for retirement. With a presumption you once you've hit this point, you could technically just retire. 25, 30, 40, whatever you are, you can just go, no thanks, I'm good. Yeah.
Right.
Done.
And a lot of what she spoke of was the conservatorship of the person, not the conservatorship of the finances. Okay. So there's a debate on whether, you know, and Jamie Spears and his lawyers just stepped up and said, well, maybe we need to review if she needs a personal conservatorship. Maybe she doesn't need a personal conservatorship. She needs an estate conservatorship, which makes more sense.
Right.
There are a few people at her level that do not have a estate conservatorship.
Or at least a damn good multi-service business manager.
Right.
Like, it's a nice, like, the conservatorship, probably a very nice way in many cases, is restated as a business manager. Someone who literally, or your accountant, and not a TikTok variety accountant, but a real accountant, who manages everything. You know, and literally financially, you don't know what you have or where it's at. You don't have to.
Right.
You just know that you can spend this much money, or no, you can't.
Right.
And here's why.
Right.
You know, that's basically it.
Right. And make sure that your credit card bill is paid and that your electric bill is paid and the taxes from your states are paid. Because think about it. She probably has 200 pieces of property. Can you imagine? You know, I get aggravated running one house. It drove me crazy running 3. No, thank you. Hire me someone to do that. Find me someone good. Oh, they took care of Neverland Ranch? Not a problem. Looks like they can handle my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it also helps, I think, in a lot of ways to actually do it probably for less. Because if you're talking about lawn services for a couple hundred pieces of property, I'm sure you get a nice bulk rate.
Right. Now, like, we don't see this a lot in other positions. Example, Dolly Parton, she signs every check. Can you imagine? Well, unlike Joan Rivers, she signed every check by hand.
A lot of people have big problems with the idea of not having direct control of their money.
Right.
It's great when you have the head for business to do it.
Right.
When you're not going to get sucked into, I have it, I can spend it. You know, if you're not going to take the, you know, I want it, I got it approach, you know, to just buy whatever, give money to whoever, do whatever, invest in whatever, give money to boyfriends. Like, if you're going to be smart with your money, if you're capable of that, and not everyone is.
No.
It's point blank, not everyone is.
Right.
If you're capable of it, it's fine. If you're incapable of it, then, you know, unfortunately, your choices are either you get someone in the conservator, you know, business manager, accountant role, however you want to term it, phrase it, or treat it, to manage
the level of powers there. Okay. And that's blank, it's the level of powers. A business manager can only tell you about a deal. They may be able to sign a contract, but they can't enforce the contract. A conservator can pursue the deal. Here's an example. We recently saw Taylor Swift's masters come up for resale. Okay? Britney could have bought Taylor Swift's masters if her conservator was in on the deal and was in the business to know that, oh, we want those. Those are money.
Right.
No, she did not buy them, although she was given the option to buy them. But unfortunately, Jamie Spears did not understand the deal. However, Britney's music being used on all these stupid commercials, he's been pursuing like an 80s king. Right. That's the important reason why Bessemer Trust was needed to be brought in. They look at long-term investments of their talent.
Well, but the bigger issue being, you will need someone, to manage those finances and help, or at least help you manage those finances reasonably.
Right.
For the long term, because otherwise you end up in the Coleman situation. What's up, Willis? Or what you talking about, Willis? Sorry, I don't know why I do that wrong every time.
What you talking about?
What you talking about, Willis?
He has no money.
He was broke.
Yeah.
He was so flippin' broke for a child actor that made tons of money. Ended up absolutely destitute, broke. No way that should have happened. Right. No way that should have happened. Except all the wrong people had all the wrong control.
Right.
With all the wrong intent and a very little understanding of what they needed to be doing and how to do it.
Right. And what to do with it. Because his parents were left in control. Instead of a company that specializes in it. I'll be honest, if my net worth ever gets above $4 million, I'm hiring a business manager. If it ever gets above $20 million, I'm getting a conservator that can tell me when to buy a house and buy a diamond.
Or more importantly, just more importantly, just go do it. But yeah, no, I mean there's a lot to it. It's not just simple. Like, this isn't balancing a checkbook.
No.
This is a lot of serious considerations that you have to have for someone's long-term, future.
Right.
Especially when someone's a child actor.
Right.
Because I think we can all agree Macaulay Culkin's career in front of the camera, pretty much over. Cute, adorable kid. Didn't work out so great as an adult. Really didn't. Not the cutest adult. His film career ended at childhood. Except he now directs. Or produces. I can't remember which. Which is a great outlet. And, I think he's done some decent films. But same time, that's not what always happens. A lot of people ended up, especially child actors, ended up fading into obscurity. Britney Spears was also in that child musician category, in which she's done good to hold on this long.
Well, think this way. She owns a portion of 68 different copyrights that she has to manage and maintain. To hire people to do that.
Yeah. But no, at the same time, she at least transitioned well from child star to adult star.
Right.
A lot don't. A lot end up in major controversy because, this cute 14-year-old grew up and became, an 18, 19, 20 or older adult. And, the kid pop scene, moved on from them. But no one's idea of them did.
Right.
And Britney faced a lot of backlash when she made her, transition.
She did. But no, we are part of the Free Britney movement. We think it should, however, be a logical movement. You don't drop $60 million of business assets, and that is lowballing it, onto someone's lap and go, okay, we're done. You done good. You made your checklist. You know who the president is. You know, everything going on, you go manage it.
And that's a lot of assets for anyone.
Right.
Period. And especially since we're not talking about straight cash assets.
Right.
Like, it would almost be easier if it's like, okay, Brittany, here's your $60 million savings account. Don't fuck it up. Have a nice day. No, we're talking about a lot of varied assets that are a lot more than just a balance in an account.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a lot, for anyone.
Right.
Because I'm sure some of those are very complicated assets. Like, they're not just like, oh, we own property, yay, pay the taxes, keep the electric on, yada yada yada. It's going to be some very weird assets in terms of things. Your mother does not own this. You don't know someone who just owns this. Like, oh, it was Tuesday and they had them on sale, so I bought one.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, nobody. Well, she owns apparently an outfit that's worth $3 million. That has to be maintained and everything else because she wore it on a Mickey Mouse special. The jacket is about $1,000 that she kissed Justin Timberlake in. These are different assets that she maintains and holds. It's like Cher. If you guys have ever seen some of the corporate pictures of Cher, she's damn scary with her team. So,
and that's someone else who's had a lot of, like, even with her team, has had a lot of financial problems over the years. And it has taken her a long time to get to team. Because I think she was another one that tried to self-manage. Or had minimal staffing for it. Like, tried to keep it as low as possible.
You know, she thought after she divorced Sonny, it was done. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, no. And then she had so much left over debt-wise from the Cindy Bono thing. There's the reason she done the Forever Tour.
Yeah.
Even Gizmo is for the Free Britney movement.
Oh, poor Gizzy. He is super excitable.
He is.
So not sure what happened there. I'm thinking maybe a cat went and tried to say hi.
Well, I think he's trying to have conversation with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So it's a lot for anyone. Cher specifically has gone through a lot in her career. And she's had to come out of retirement, 2-3 times, or restart her career 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times. She's rebranded herself so many times, honey. You know, the plastic surgeons don't ask her if she's coming for an appointment. They just know she's coming in for a tune-up on Thursday.
Basically. But there have been many others. And then there were a lot that were exploited in their careers.
Right.
Like the estates of Joan Crawford and Betty Davis should have been massive.
Right.
If their career had started after Betty Davis took on Warner Brothers.
Right.
But they didn't, obviously.
Obviously.
They worked under old studio contracts that basically, on one hand, were really good. They paid nice stipends, whether they worked or not. But they didn't have any kind of residuals from the work they did.
Right.
They basically got paid to a greater or lesser extent in pretty much the same fashion as the payroll clerk down the hall. You know, they got a salary. Here's your salary.
Right.
This is what, you work when we tell you to work. You're going to do this number of pictures, and then we'll, for X amount of time.
Right.
Like, this is a guarantee. This is what we give you. It's a really nice salary.
Right.
But in terms of, but you're stuck here. You can only work for us unless we allow you to work for someone else. And then you get into the situation of some of these movies made tons of money, tons of money, that they didn't even get a fraction of.
Right.
Like they never saw it, they never got it. It was never something in their contract to get.
Right.
So the studio made tons of money off of them, and effectively paid them very, very little.
But we still see that happening today in slave networks.
Well, we see that in a lot of areas. I mean, that's effectively minimum wage in a nutshell. You know, hi. But effectively, that was, you know, Hollywood pre, you know, the Davis lawsuit.
Right.
Like, but not for it. You know, a lot of Hollywood actors would still have only made minimal amounts of money for the pictures they do. That, you know, the idea of an actor or actress getting $1 million just to show up, let alone making millions off of a film, they'd never see it.
Right. Now, I'm going to give a shout out. If you are very interested in the Britney Spears cases, watch Emily D. Baker. She is the one that breaks down the law documents for me and most of YouTube. Go over to her channel. She normally streams on Tuesday mornings, and whenever something breaks, go check her out. She will actually give you page by page, word for word, what this means in pure English. She is on YouTube. And that is Emily D. Baker.
Yep. Yeah, you love watching her stuff.
I do. I so want to get her on the Psychic Coffee Shop because she made one statement, and I want the details on this statement.
Yes, I like, yeah. So apparently psychics can't be sued.
Yes.
We want to hear more.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested. Oh yeah, Judy Garland was exploited. To some degree, Liza Minnelli, her daughter, was exploited. I mean, there's just so many. I think Judy Garland was especially bad because of her age.
Like, she was
like
just
when it all started.
13 on, though.
Right.
All her life.
No, that's what I'm saying, is it started so young. She, like, the age in which everything started, the drug use, the, you know, all of it started in her teens.
Right. And
continued and screwed her up for life. Like, there was no way around that. Like, it did a lot of damage.
Very much so, and continues to do damage. News story that we're not going to get to tonight, but it was really aggravating to me, and I didn't even send it because it was a video story, was the number of trans parents that are now moving to Mexico and to the state of Mexico and others in the South because of this new bans and bullshit. Driving, it's like, really? But I find it really admirable that the parents are going to whatever lengths they've got to do. If they got to pack up and move, they'll pack up and move to see that their children are treated and given proper health care.
Yeah. Well, and I think the story of Judy Garland is one in which you had a child star that was a hot commodity, and you wanted to keep her there as long as possible. And so the studio did everything to keep her working, keep her, you know, looking as young as possible, to keep working as a child star. And effectively, like, she had a real hard time being allowed to grow up and act like the adult she was becoming and would be.
Right.
And instead became a very broken down mess.
Right. And, you know, that was her mother's fault, too.
Not untrue. And same for Liza Minnelli.
Yeah.
Like, it's the generations there that get me. Is you already saw this happen to yourself, and then it just about repeated itself perfectly.
Right.
Not quite as bad, but still bad.
Right.
It's really sad. Oh, there's a video we want to look into. Oh, all right. I want to see that one. Self-representation is always fun. We look forward to seeing that one, Ashley.
Yes.
The hot tea on the Britney situation, where did you go?
I will gladly give hot tea on the Britney situation, but I've got to wait till Tuesday. And here's why. There are a lot of your documents flying at this, like page work. And I've got to understand what I'm looking at before I'll jump into it.
Oh, what's the cards?
Oh, yeah. Like,
I want to do that Tuesday?
I want to do that. I will do that for hot tea.
Okay.
On live air about the Britney situation, but there's something I feel that's coming out Monday that's going to be like turning the pages, and I want to get that in my wheelhouse before I do the cards on it. Because here's the thing, this is what people don't get. This is why I say specific questions. I need to understand what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yes, I will be doing the cards Tuesday night. I believe we don't have a guest. If we do have a guest, we'll stay late. On Britney, and see what the cards say.
There we go. All righty. So yeah, we do have one more story I think we can go through really quickly. Miss Nevada to be the first openly transgender Miss USA contestant.
Yes.
So yay, awesome for representation.
Well, not only for representation, but this is a big move.
Mm-hmm.
For Miss USA to do. When we have so many trans children out there facing discrimination.
Right. Well, and especially in a world that is still struggling as to the conversation around are trans people real men and real women, which they are. I think it's a big step for a program like Miss USA to take this on.
Yeah, I think that it is. I think it's very big that they're taking it on. Their whole she has to participate just as hard as everybody else does. And I have done contests. They are not easy. You've got to know your lines. You got to know your dance moves. You got to know your talent. You got to know everything and be ready to take care of everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is Gizmo telling the cats to get away from his den.
One day, he'll be a quiet little boy.
Yes, 3 months, guys. 3 months until he adjusts to the household. That is what we have read.
Yeah, that's what that's her hope is. Within about 3 months, he'll be chill and
Right.
be cool.
Yes. But no, I'm back to Miss Nevada. I'm looking forward to this. I haven't watched Miss USA in a while. I will be tuning in for this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can definitely say it's a big change.
It is.
And it's not what I would have thought they would have accepted without a lot of struggle.
Right.
And I'm curious if that's going to be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
If there's going to be a big backlash, if there's going to be people who boycott and lots of angry articles, and I'm just curious how it's going to go. I'm not wishing this on them at all.
Right.
Or on Miss Nevada to have to deal with that. I am hoping this is like, okay, this is what we're doing now, and everyone's going to come along.
Right.
That's my hope.
Right. And my hope is that she wins. Like, I'm normally, Miss USA, I'm wanting Miss West Virginia to win. Not this time. Miss Nevada, let's take the crown.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Well, effectively, Mary points out we're all still Puritans over here. Queen Elizabeth I, new LGBT people in her court during her reign. Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a weird couple of centuries. Can we just say that? Like, a lot of things were, it's weird historically to read and find out that, no, these things were all in existence then and it was all fine. And then it all went cattywampus. And suddenly we ended up here and,
Well, and here's where it goes cattywampus at, is it's very much that second and third century.
Mm-hmm.
Second and third century, we have some weird things going on with the church. The church gains power. Before then, Roman times, big deal. Very commonplace. Second, third century, early Christian church, early, the Council of Nicaea, all this is where it started having it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that just gains power and control. And then at the same time, we start having other things carrying on. Masculinity takes a large heap up. Devon Trojan soldiers, that was commonplace. Like, there were commonplace, okay, accounting is the oldest business in the world.
There is that. Although I still say Trojan is the worst name ever for a condom. When you think about it.
I don't know. Do you know the full story of Troy? That is kind of a good name for it. That way you can just sneak it in.
No. No. There's no. I still joke about that one. I still think that's the worst name. Why?
That is not the worst name.
Okay.
You know the worst name for a condom.
Broken?
No. Life cycle.
What?
Those. Yeah.
Lifestyle?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'll take that one then.
Right.
But yeah. So Mary's been to Pompeii and its brothel remains. See, now I was watching a thing recently that pointed out that it wasn't quite the biggest brothel that everyone thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
That there was a lot of effectively explicit art all throughout, and it may have, in the wrong perspective, made it look a lot more hoary than it was.
Well, and the other thing to remember is the phallic symbol itself has always been finance, money. So they may be pointing to banks, and we just got some Puritans going, "Oh my God, there's porn over here." It's got to be.
Well, no, effectively, as many as there are, it looks like a very sexually liberated society, when really not quite. I mean, it was comparatively, but no, the phalluses everywhere, not that really big a deal. That was just about money, wealth, and prosperity. But then there's also, but in terms of paintings, those were mostly, that was art.
Yeah. And
nudity was a part of that, and wasn't really that big a deal.
Right. And really, nudity didn't become a big deal until the Puritans came in and went, "Oh my God, we got to cover up and hide everything."
Basically.
Yep.
Oh, but yeah. Alrighty, so we're closing in on that lovely time.
We are.
I think we got to stop here.
We do.
Absolutely. So let's get loaded up. And of course, we want to thank our Patreon sponsors. We do love our baristas: Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gish, Shannon C, and Shannon D. If you'd like to support the show or find out more about us, please visit PCSPnetwork.com.
Yes, and we have some great benefits there. I want to thank my Patreons. We had a lovely meeting. Unfortunately, I didn't film it. Next time I will. Do note, the last Monday of the month will be your Patreon chat. That's where you get to come and sit down and have a coffee with us in a private Zoom. So please go ahead and put that on your calendars. It is the last Monday of the month. which is putting it on the 26th.
Yeah, so yeah, that'll end up being the 26th, the 30th, and the 27th for the next 3 months.
Yep.
So if you want to go ahead and mark those down.
Yep. All right, y'all. You guys have a magical evening, a great weekend. Stay safe. Happy 4th. Go out and show your patriotism. Remember to be responsible with your fireworks. And as always, we'll see you Tuesday.
Absolutely. Happy birthday and good night.
Good night, y'all.